Yes, in the last lecture I had stopped at breeding, right? That is till controlled breeding. Okay, so let me continue with this part. Yes, last class we have completed with dairy farm management and poultry farm management. Animal breeding we were discussing. So I have to start with this controlled breeding experiments. So this excuse me, controlled breeding experiments, it is also called as artificial breeding. Okay, so it is breeding in a selected way. Controlled breeding ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನು, breeding in a selected way. Okay, so ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಅದಾವು. ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಟೂ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಏನಂತಂದರೆ, ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸೆಮಿನೇಷನ್, ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ MOET, that is multiple ovulation and embryo transfer. These are the two important methods, right? So first one you have, that is artificial insemination. So here this is nothing but introduction of semen of selected better quality bull into the genital tract of the cow. Okay, so that is when they are in their heat period. So using a long tube called as the catheter. Okay, so this is generally done by the breeder. I repeat, artificial insemination, it is introduction of the semen of a selected superior quality bull, okay, it into the oviduct of the cow. Okay, it is injected into the genital tract or the reproductive tract of the selected cow by the breeders. Okay, that is generally during using a long tube called as the catheter. Okay, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ what are the advantages ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ of this technique is, it prevents the spread of any infections. Okay, because naturally if they are allowed to breed, then there sometimes there might be some infections also, so it prevents the spread of infections. Then the bull can be maintained in a healthy environment. Then here transportation of the bull is not required, so wherever they are maintained, the bull is maintained, there only the semen is collected and the semen is transported. So there is no transportation of bull. So transportation of semen is more easier than transporting a bull for the purpose. Okay, so this is an economical method because a small amount of semen is enough here to inseminate one cow. So about 500 to 1000 cows can be inseminated using the semen obtained from a single bull in a year. Okay, but generally by a natural method, only around 50 to 60 cows are inseminated in 1 year. So this is one advantage, right? ಆಮೇಲೆ semen can be stored for a longer period of time through cryopreservation. So generally they can be stored for 15 to 20 years, right, through cryopreservation. You know what is cryopreservation? That is storing the semen in liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degree Celsius. Okay, so these are the advantages of artificial insemination. Then next one is multiple ovulation and embryo transfer. So this is also called as it is called as MOET or even SOET. SOET andre super ovulation and embryo transfer. So here the success rate of crossing mature male and female animals is very low. So even though artificial insemination is carried out, so to improve the chances of production of hybrids, this MOET technique is used. Okay, so the steps involved in this MOET are: a desired cow is induced to produce many eggs, many ova, around 6 to 8 ova they are produced. That is by injecting hormones into it. What hormone is injected? It is nothing but FSH. Okay, follicle stimulating hormone. It is injected into it so that it produces many eggs. Then the eggs are fertilized by artificial insemination. Okay, or sometimes even the female is mated with an elite bull. So the fertilized eggs ಏನಾಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, that is the zygote, they start cleavage and then there is the development of the embryo, right? So at this point the embryos are recovered from the cow when it is in around 8 to 32 cell stage. then they are introduced into the genital tract of the selected cows. So they are called as the surrogate mothers or the foster mothers. So these surrogate mothers ಏನೈತಿ they are selected such that they are maintained and continued in the same reproductive stage by injecting continuously for them. Prostaglandins are injected continuously. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು the young ones are delivered after the completion of the growth period. ಸೊ ಇದು ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ MOET. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಮೇ ಗೆಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸೆಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ MCQs. ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ಸೆಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಅಥವಾ MOET ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನು. ಸೊ MOETದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ MCQ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. So this technique has been employed successfully in cattle, not only in cattle, also in sheep, rabbit, mares, etc. So high milk yielding breeds of female and high quality meat yielding bull, they are bred to increase the herd size. Okay, so in a very short period of time they can get more number of breeds here. So this is called as artificial breeding technique. I hope this is clear, right? Next one, beekeeping. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಲ್ ಇದಾವೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ನಾಟ್ ನೆಸಸರಿ ಆಯಿತಾ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಹಳೆ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಮಿಲ್ಚ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್, ಡ್ರಾಟ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್, ಡ್ಯುಯಲ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಭಾಳ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಎಕ್ಸಾಟಿಕ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್ಸ್, ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಯು NCERT. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. Next one is beekeeping. So beekeeping nalli it is also called as apiculture, right? So it is a branch of biology which deals with rearing and management of honeybees for obtaining, so mainly it is done for obtaining honey, for the production of honey and wax as well. So generally the place where the honeybees are reared, it is called as an apiary. The persons engaged in beekeeping are called as beekeepers or apiarists or apiculturists. Okay, so in India mainly the varieties of honeybees which are reared are, so you know it belongs to the class Insecta, right? So there are generally 4 species of honeybees in India. One is exotic. Okay, so that is Apis mellifera. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮದು NCERT ಒಳಗೆ. ಸೊ Apis mellifera is one. Write it, Apis mellifera. ಇದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಟಿಕ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್, Apis mellifera ಆಯಿತಾ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆ್ಯನ್ ಇಟಾಲಿಯನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಯುರೋಪಿಯನ್ ಬಿ ಇದು. ಇನ್ನು 3 ಏನಿದಾವೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅದಾವೆ. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಟಿಕ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸು ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ರೇರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಇನ್ನು 3 ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅದಾವೆ. Apis dorsata ಒಂದು, ಓಕೆ, Apis dorsata. Then another one is Apis indica. This name they have given in your book, Apis indica. That is the most commonly obtained. Okay, Apis dorsata is the largest one. It is also called as a rock bee. It occurs in wild. Apis indica also occurs in wild. So this is generally used for beekeeping, commonly used. Then another one is Apis florea. Apis florea, it is a smaller one. It is also a wild variety, but generally for domestication they don't use this. Okay, so as you all know, honeybees, they are polymorphic. Polymorphic andre they show many morphological features, right? They are colonial forms living in hives. So in a colony of honeybee, so the honeybee colonies ಏನೈತಿ ಅಥವಾ hives ಏನೈತಿ, they are made up of vertical sheets. Okay, so in nature, you know, they generally hang down from the tree branches, roofs, balconies or buildings, right? But artificially when it is done, right, so they're generally vertical sheets of wax are made, right? So having a number of hexagonal cells on its sides. Then no need explanation of all these different what types of organisms, right, in one colony, so in a colony you find the queen, there's only one queen present, then the males and the workers are present, right? So generally this beekeeping, it is practiced in any area where there are wild shrubs, okay, or also in the cultivated crops, there also they can do this. So artificial hives, as I told you, these bee boxes, they can be placed in any place, like in the courtyards also, or in the verandas, in the houses also they can do this beekeeping. So mainly the purpose of this beekeeping is to get honey and bee wax, as I told you, right? So honey is having a high nutritive value, which is used for medicinal purposes, ayurvedics, and also in medicines. So bee wax is used in preparing cosmetic creams, polish, ointments, paints. Okay. Then honeybees are also pollinators, as you know. So they pollinate several plants like apple, sunflower, mustard. So this beekeeping helps in both, that is in taking the honey yield, also in the crop yield, and also to improve the quality of the products. That is mainly because of cross pollination. Okay, so generally that is why they can also be, the beekeeping can also be done in the cultivated crop fields also. So to do a successful beekeeping, what they have to do is they should have a knowledge about nature and the habit of bees, whatever type of bee they have selected. Then selection of a suitable location has to be done, that is for keeping the beehives. Then catching and hiving of the swarms under a group of bees. Okay, so they have to catch the bees and they have to put it in the hives. Then management of the beehives in all different seasons. Okay, then handling and collection of the honey and bee wax. So they have to take care of all these uh, points whenever a person is doing this beekeeping. Okay, so ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೇನು ಭಾಳ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬೀ ಕೀಪಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಮೇ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕಾಮನ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಹನಿ ಬಿ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಏಪಿಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಕಾ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಬೀ ಕೀಪಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನೀವು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂದರೆ ಎಮ್ ಸಿ ಕ್ಯೂಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಬ್ರೀಡಿಂಗಿಂದ, ಇನ್ ಬ್ರೀಡಿಂಗ್, ಔಟ್ ಬ್ರೀಡಿಂಗ್, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸು. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೌಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್, ಓಕೆ, ಪೌಲ್ಟ್ರಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. Next, coming to fisheries. So fisheries it is also an industry, okay, right, connected with catching, processing and selling of fishes. So it is not only fishes, so it might be shellfishes or any other aquatic animals and their products. So aquatic animals in the sense, again, their fish, prawns, lobsters, oysters, crabs, so etc. These are used by as food by human beings and also as by other animals, right? So fisheries nalli mainly two types, ಇದು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋರಿ, ಫಿನ್ ಫಿಶರೀಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಶೆಲ್ ಫಿಶರೀಸ್. ಫಿಶರೀಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೂ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್, ಫಿನ್ ಫಿಶರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಫಿಶರಿ. ಫಿನ್ ಫಿಶರಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಫಿಶರಿ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಆನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಅನ್ಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಫಿನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಫಿನ್ ಫಿಶರಿ. ಶೆಲ್ ಫಿಶರಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಆನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಶೆಲ್ಡ್ ಆನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ರೇರಿಂಗ್ ದೋಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಫಿಶರಿ. ಸೊ ಫಿನ್ ಫಿಶರಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಜನರಲಿ ಟ್ರೂ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಏನಿದ್ದವು, ಕಾರ್ಟಿಲೇಜನಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬೋನಿ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಟ್ರೂ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಆರ್ ರೇರ್ಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಜನರಲಿ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಬೋನಿ, ರೈಟ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೆರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಿಶಸ್, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಡಿಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್, fisheries can be again classified into three types. Fisheries can be classified into three types: marine fisheries, freshwater fisheries, brackish water fisheries. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಏನು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬುಕ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೋ ಇಟ್: ಮೆರೈನ್ ಫಿಶರೀಸ್, ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬ್ರಾಕಿಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಿಶರೀಸ್. Marine fisheries ಅಂತಂದರೆ it includes capture of fishes of marine waters, ocean, seas. Freshwater fisheries ಅಂತಂದರೆ in the freshwater systems like river, canals, lakes, tank, pond, paddy fields. Brackish water ಅಂದರೆ it includes fishing activity in brackish water. Brackish water ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸ್ಲೈಟ್ಲಿ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಚ್ ಆಸ್ ಎಸ್ಚುರೀಸ್, ಲಗೂನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದು ಶಾಲೋ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇರ್ತೈತಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ರೋವ್ ಸ್ವ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಸ್, ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಕಿಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇದು ಎರಡು ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಿಶ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಕಿಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಿಶ್ರಿ, ಅವನ್ನ ಇನ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಿಶರೀಸ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಆಯಿತಾ? ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ರೇರ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಮೆರೈನ್ ಫಿಶರೀಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹಿಲ್ಸಾ, ದೆನ್ ಸಾರ್ಡೈನ್ಸ್, ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರಿಲ್ಸ್, ಈಲ್, ಪಾಂಫ್ರೆಟ್ಸ್, ಫ್ಲೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಫಿಶ್. ಇವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸು. ಈ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊರಿ, ಆಯಿತಾ? ಸೊ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಮೆರೈನ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ see it has been mentioned here. These are marine fishes. Freshwater fishes they have given you here: katla, rohu and the common carp. So idu commonly reared freshwater fishes: katla, rohu and common carp. ಆಯಿತಾ? ಸೊ ಇವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಇದು ಮೆರೈನ ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಯಿತಾ? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ then nothing else much important here. Okay, yes, differences between this one they have given: aquaculture and pisciculture. ಸೊ aquaculture ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ aquatic plants and animals ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್: ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಪಿಸಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ aquaculture ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಿವನ್. ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಿಸಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಕಲ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡೀಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ಫಿಶ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಪಿಸಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಅನ್ಬೋದು. ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡೀಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಫಿಶಸ್ನ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಆಕ್ವಾಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ಎರಡು, ಸಚ್ ಆಸ್ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ರಾನ್ಸ್, ಮೆನಿ ಆಲ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ಲಾಬ್ಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಬ್ಸ್, ಶ್ರಿಂಪ್ಸ್, ಆಯಿಸ್ಟರ್, ಸೀವೀಡ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಆಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಸೀವೀಡ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಕ್ವಾಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಟರ್ಮ್. ಪಿಸಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇನ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಫಿಶಸ್, ಫಿಶ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗಿಗೆ ಪಿಸಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಟು. So coming to importance of this, what is the importance of this fishery is, as these aquatic animals, they are rich in protein content. So you know, in fishes it is high, there is high protein content in the fishes, in the prawns. Also lipid content, they have rich lipid content also, so it is used for consumption purpose. Then seafoods are also rich in iodine and other minerals as well. Then fish liver oils, I think you have heard of cod liver oils or fish liver oils. They are rich in vitamin A and D. So which vitamin D is mainly obtained in sun rays, as well as in the liver of the fishes, liver oil. So fish oils are also used for in paints and soaps also. Then the leather of the fishes skin, it is used in making different articles like purse, shoes, etc. Then the waste fish meal ಏನೈತಲ್ಲ that is used to give poultry feed, and it is also used as a manure. Then some fishes like gambusa, we call it as mosquito fish, guppy or gambusa it is called as. So they are used as larvivorous fishes, and as they feed on the mosquito larvae, so they can be used to clean up the water. Then fish industry provides livelihood to more than 1 million people in India. In the coastal areas, if you see, so many people who are indulged in this pisciculture or fisheries you can find. So it is the main livelihood for people there in the coastal areas. Okay. So in recent years, there has been again a tremendous increase in breeding of the fishes. So this is because of the use of the hormones, that is the FSH and LH hormones are used from the pituitary glands of the donor fishes like carps. Okay, then this hormones are injected into the fishes. Okay, so by this the breeding is increased, right? So this has led to enormous increase in the production of fishes, and that is called as blue revolution. You might have heard of green revolution, white revolution, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ as nowadays because of this technique of injecting the hormones into them. So then synthetic inducing agents are also used nowadays. Okay, so this has led to an increase, tremendous increase in the production of fishes, right? So that is called as blue revolution. Okay, next another important part here is plant breeding. Plant breeding, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬ್ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಆಯಿತಾ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರೆಡಿಷನಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್. So it can be limited yield in biomass as food for humans and animals. So that is why there has to be a better management in cultivation, like for irrigation purpose, for fertilizers, improved cropping pattern, seeds, pesticides, they can increase the crop yield, right? So increase in the crop area and the cultivated area can help in increasing the yield. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ to in India, because of this development of high yielding and disease resistant varieties nowadays, okay, this has led to a green revolution. ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬ್ಲೂ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ಈಗ ಇದನ್ನು ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ because of using all these different techniques, it has been possible to produce more food grains. So we have developed high yielding varieties, disease resistant varieties in major grains like wheat, rice, maize. So the period from 1960 to 80 is called as the golden era. 1960 in the 80 is called as golden era because it was at this period, okay, the green revolution took place. So this has not only made us self-sufficient with respect to food production, but it also made to some extent the export of this food has been possible to other countries also. So all this was mainly because of plant breeding techniques, right? So let us study what is this plant breeding. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಯಾವುದು ಗ್ರೈನ್ಸ್, ಫುಡ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ದ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗೈತಿ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ wheat, rice and maize, you can write. Okay, so coming to what is plant breeding. So plant breeding, it is the branch of botany which is concerned with changing the genotype of plants, or you can say to make them more useful to man, or you can say it is producing the plant species which are better suited for cultivation. Producing the plant species which are better suited for cultivation. Okay, the main objectives of plant breeding ಏನಂದರೆ, objectives ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು MCQsನಲ್ಲಿ, ಲೈಕ್ ಬೆಟರ್ yield, ಬೆಟರ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ, resistance to pests, ಆಮೇಲೆ resistance to pathogens, to reduce the vegetative phase so that we get the good yield very faster, tolerance against drought, salinity, then to improve the synchronous maturity. Okay, so these are the main techniques. So this domestication ಏನೈತಿ of plants by humans, it started about 10,000 years back. So illi they have given The recorded evidence of plant breeding dates back to 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. So this is important. ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋರಿ. dates back around 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. Okay, approximately 10,000 ಅಂತಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So whatever today's food crops are derived, it is from the domesticated varieties only initially. So the plant breeding or this improvement of plants was only ಮೊದಲು ಹೆಂಗಿತ್ತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ದೇ ವುಡ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಏನೈತಿ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಆಯಿತಾ. ದೆನ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, formation of varieties, variables, right? So the plant breeding based on this hybridization, it came into practice slowly, that is with the knowledge of the sexual reproduction. ಆಮೇಲೆ sexual reproduction in the variations ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So based on that they started to produce this varieties. So ಇದನ್ನು hybridization ಅಂತ ಕರೆದ್ರು. So that was the initial technique which was used. Later on they came to know the importance of the pure lines, the old varieties, wild varieties. Okay, then the germplasm collection centers were established. Okay, so like this it went on developing. So now plant breeding mainly involves crossing and hybridization of pure lines. Okay, then followed by their selection. So that in detail we'll study. Okay, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ germplasm ಅಂದರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. germplasm ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Sum total of genes present in a species. Sum total of genes present in a species. It might be like the cultivated varieties ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟೈತಿ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ ರೇಂಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನೈತಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಲ್ ರೇಂಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಜರ್ಮ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, so this is also a part of plant breeding, right? So illi this one I told you, idu objectives you should be knowing. What are the objectives? To grow disease resistant, drought resistant, etc. So these points, right? Next one, illi plant breeding steps involved in breeding the new variety. So you got the collection of variability, then evaluation and selection of parents, then crossing, right, or cross hybridization, selection and testing of superior recombinants, then testing, release and commercialization of new cultivars. So idu techniques. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ವೇರಿಯಬಿಲಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜರ್ಮ್ಪ್ಲಾಸಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇರಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಜನರಲಿ ಜರ್ಮ್ಪ್ಲಾಸಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ. ಸೊ germplasm, it has to consist of all the present day cultivated improved varieties. All the improved varieties they have to be collected. ಆಮೇಲೆ all improved varieties which are no longer cultivated also. ಈ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೂ that store has to be there. Then old varieties of all areas, even that has to be collected. Pure lines produced has to be collected. Wild relatives among species of crop plants, wild varieties ಏನಿರ್ತೈತಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ germplasm ವಾಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಇಂಥ germplasmsನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇದೇ ವೇರಿಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ germplasm ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ germplasm ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನೈತಿ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ IBPGR. ಇದು ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ, IBPGR. IBPGR. Germplasm collection is done under the guidance of IBPGR. IBPGR ಅಂದರೆ International Board of Plant Genetic Resources. International Board of Plant Genetic Resources. Okay. Next, evaluation and selection of parents. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ mainly homozygosity. Okay, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ whatever germ plasm is collected, it is evaluated to identify plants with desirable combinations, and these plants with desired characters, they are collected ಅಥವಾ they are called as the parents, right? ಆಮೇಲೆ these plants are ಸೆಲ್ಫಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ, ಹೋಮೋಸೈಗಸ್ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾವೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಹೋಮೋಸೈಗಾಸಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಹೋಮೋಸೈಗಸ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡು ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಯೂರ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡೈಸೇಷನ್. ಫರ್ದರ್ ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪ್ಯೂರ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ನ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾರೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡೈಸೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಡಿಸೈರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಕಂಬೈನ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂ ವೆರೈಟಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಹೈ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್, ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಡಿಸೈರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಅಮಂಗ್ ದ ಟು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ದೆನ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಸುಪೀರಿಯರ್ ರಿಕಾಂಬಿನೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಏನಂತ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಬರೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ that's it, selection of and testing of superior recombinants. So you get many different recombinations in F1 among F2 generations. So adralli superior variety enaiti that is taken. Okay, so seeds of only those plants which have desired traits, they are taken up again for raising in the next generation. That's it. Okay, next to testing. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದ ನ್ಯೂಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಡ್ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಏನದಾವಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ for particular character such as like for yield, quality, duration, for the effect of water, temperature, disease, insect resistance, fertilizer application, for other crop management practices, etc. So this is done by ICAR. This you have to remember. Okay, this is done by ICAR. So ICAR andre ICAR ಅಂದರೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್, ನ್ಯೂ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳಗೆ. ICAR is Indian Council of Agricultural Research in New Delhi. So they do this work of testing. Okay, then for every type of crop the country is actually divided into different zones. So ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಬೇಡ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮಚ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ಏನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಬರೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. So this point you have to remember here. Idu approximation ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋರಿ. India is mainly an agricultural country, right? So agriculture accounts for approximately 33% of India's GDP. GDP ಅಂದರೆ gross domestic production. 33%. India provides about 33% of total GDP ಅಂದರೆ gross domestic production, and employs nearly 62% of the population. Okay, after independence, one of the major problem was to produce enough food for the growing population. So several high yielding dwarf varieties of wheat and rice were developed. So that led in 1960s. So as I told you, that led to green revolution. Okay, then by in 2000, 89.5 million tons, and in 2010-11 it has reached to 95.32 million tons. So that is every day, day by day it is going on increasing. So idu estimation. This estimation you have to remember, that is the wheat and rice production between 1960 to 2000. ಇದು ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಇದನ್ನು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊರಿ. wheat production from 11 million to 75 million tons. Rice production was from 35 million tons to 89.5 million tons. increase ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಇದು ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇವು ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ. ಸೊ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಮಿ ಡ್ವಾರ್ಫ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಬೆಲ್ ಲಾರೆಟ್ Norman E. Borlaug. So he is the at the International Center for Wheat and Maize Improvement in Mexico. Okay, he developed the semi-dwarf wheat. So idu varieties ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ. Sonalika and Kalyan Sona. They were high yielding and disease resistant. So this was introduced in India. So among semi-dwarf rice varieties, idu IR8, which was developed at IRRI, that is International Rice Research Institute, idu Philippines, adondu. Okay. This one. Then Taichung native one, that is from Taiwan. So ಇದೆರಡು. Then ಇದು Jaya and Ratna, which were developed in India. So ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ wheat and rice varieties-ನಲ್ಲಿ. Next coming to sugar cane-ಅಲ್ಲಿ Saccharum barberry in North India. The sugar cane grown is Saccharum barberry. ಇದು scientific name ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ, which is a sugar cane grown in North India ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅದು. But it has poor sugar content and low yield. So in South India, Saccharum officinarum is grown. That is the common variety. It has higher yield, thick stem, high sugar content irtati. But this variety did not grow well in North India because of the temperature changes. Okay. So the Sugarcane Breeding Institute, that is SBI antaradika. SBI is the Sugarcane Breeding Institute. SBI is Sugarcane Breeding Institute at Coimbatore. It is in Coimbatore. What they did is they crossed these two varieties and they produced a hybrid sugarcane variety. So this hybrid variety is high yielding with thick stem and high sugar content. So this variety, it also grew well in North India because it suited in that temperature also. North India dalli low winter temperature irtittu, so that well suited there also. Okay. Then coming to millets. So a number of hybrid varieties in maize and millets have been developed, which are resistant to water stress. Okay. So the hybrid varieties, they show increased growth and higher yield. This is called as hybrid vigor. One second. Yes, this is called as hybrid vigor. ಇದು ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ. ಒನ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡ್ ವಿಗರ್ ಆರ್ ಹೆಟ್ರೋಸಿಸ್? ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡ್ ವಿಗರ್ ಆರ್ ಹೆಟ್ರೋಸಿಸ್. ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡ್ ವಿಗರ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ the hybrid varieties which show increased growth and higher yield, they are, it is ಅದನ್ನು hybrid vigor ಅಂತೀವಿ ಆಯಿತಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಹೆಟ್ರೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್. ಸೊ ಹೈಬ್ರಿಡ್ ಮೇಸ್, ಜವಾರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಬಜ್ರಾ were developed in India. So by this method, high yielding varieties they were resistant to water stress also. Okay. So this is about plant breeding, right? So next we'll study plant breeding for different purposes, like disease resistance, right? Amele to overcome pathogens, okay, etc. In the next one, I'll explain you that.